Machine Attacks is the strangest campaign I've ever played. For starters, it predates every community MvM operation. It first started in Game Banana in 2013, then it finished up in 2016, then some other guy decided to remaster the series a few years later. If there's one word to describe Machine Attacks, it's ambition. It is not a collection of missions, it's a genuine definition of a campaign, a story-based campaign at that. It is a series of maps in chronological order, referred to as episodes, and you're going through them as a sort of adventure-style type of game. And it does follow a narrative like it's some sort of fan fiction. The craziest part is that all of this has been done by one single person. Can you believe that? Now, there's two versions of this campaign, the original and the new version that improves upon the visuals and the gameplay, basically a remaster. For this video, we'll be mainly going through the new version of Machine Attacks, and I've decided to invite a couple of gamers just to see how grandiose this campaign is. No, this isn't part of the remaster, but it's definitely worth mentioning because this is a tutorial level explaining the new mechanics of Machine Attacks. Yeah, you heard that right, there's new game mechanics that enhances the experience. The upgrade station has been changed to this crafting table, but alongside it is a board with several buttons for a brand new upgrade system called Premium Upgrades. Essentially, a whole slew of upgrades that empowers the players. These upgrades are extremely overpowered and completely breaks the boundaries of traditional MvM. The downside of this is that you need to have the upgrade file to access these premium upgrades, and most of them will be unreadable due to how small the upgrade UI is. But there's an add-on on Game Banana that fixes it, making the upgrades easier to navigate and purchase. Another issue is that since these upgrades are server-side, you're gonna be in a line waiting for others to finish upgrading before you press a button to get the upgrades you want.
Great. The upgrade, it fucking ate all of my fucking upgrades and now I cannot refund.
For the love of fuck, stop touching buttons that you're not supposed to press.
Other than that, there's more game mechanics that are honestly way too much to go over. I mean, seriously, there's like 20 other things that you have to learn about. The only problem with this tutorial map is that for whatever reason, this map was balanced for 6 players. If you're playing this map alone, chances are you're gonna be spending a lot of time here. Couple of sections where you waste a lot of time due to RNG. By reaching the end, you'll get to see the map posters of each episode made in Gary's mod. Nice. Without wasting too much time, let's actually start the campaign. We find ourselves inside Red's intel room, taking shelter from the robots that just invaded 2-4. The engineers suggest joining with Blue Team to defeat the bots, but the bots have already captured Blue's base. Apparently, Spy knows the secret passage to escape from 2-4, but it is deep within that base, so the entire team sets out to find it. Alright, let's not beat around the bush. The writing was clearly done by someone who isn't too fluent in English, and it really tells you that the creator only wanted their hands on the project. The dialogue is unvoiced, but the way the dialogue is presented is very slow. You're gonna be waiting for 8 seconds per line, which can make every moment of the story extremely boring to sit through. But don't worry, I'll do my best to translate the writing for you, no matter how atrocious it might be. Anyway, the episode starts. You're basically moving room to room, capturing zones across 2-4 in a linear fashion. Defending each zone can quickly get chaotic due to the horde of bots who come through the tight doorways and fighting in claustrophobic areas, and the spawn barriers prevent you from speedrunning. I will say, the presentation here is most impressive. Witnessing debris falling down from the ceiling, the boulders rolling down the stairs when exiting out, as well as the smoke around the 2-4 bridge is legitimately cool and perfectly conveys the situation we're in. That said, there are times where the map is bad, like this other path with landmines that you don't really notice, and a barricade that you shoot at for a long while, or going outside where there's snipers that one-shot you. Moments like these set up for one of the main flaws of Machine Attacks, being that some of the level design and game balance is either too convoluted or bullshit, both of which you'll be seeing throughout. Capturing the final point in Blue's base, we head upstairs only to be blocked off. There's a side path you can go through that requires you to shoot down a vault door. What? Payday players wish they can do this. Going down into Blue's intel room, we fight a giant charged soldier boss. Luckily there's a respawn room nearby in case you die, no need to walk all the way back from Red's base. With the giant defeated and Blue team nowhere to be seen, we uncover the hidden passage that leads us into the next map, which we transition to by selecting the next map in the vote menu. Red team moves through the passage, going through a dirt tunnel only to be walled off by a giant rock from the elevator. Then, a tank jump scares you from behind, coming out of the dark passage. Trapped between a rock and a hard place, the team is forced to shoot down a rock, and barely manages to ride up the elevator. What?
It's an elevator. It's because of the thing that happens is when you're inside a person, you take a damage.
Up ahead, we find ourselves on the map Junction. The team needs to escape via the train, but it doesn't have any power. The only way to restore it is to turn on the power generator located deep inside, so they set out to infiltrate their own base. This episode introduces the first of many puzzle elements of machine attacks. Among them are lasers in the first two rooms. Avoid them or die instantly. You can shoot sticky bombs to block the lasers, but it's very precise. There's a controller at the end that can shut down these lasers from the rooms before, but not the laser wall that's ahead. The room nearby does, but requires a specific sequence. The clue is just behind the fence, spelling out ACB, with the last letter being D since it isn't seen anywhere. Inputting them in that order disables the laser wall. The door to capture point A is locked, but there's no controller around. At least that's what you'd think. This orange panel has to be meleeed several times to open up. Destroying this terminal unlocks the door. And if you thought you were done with puzzles, think again. Because in the next room, you have to deal with 3 sentry guns. These sentries are completely invincible and deal sheer amounts of knockback, making it impossible to move forward once caught. And for whatever reason, the creator expected you to run a spy to disable them, so unless you have an alternative that can get through this puzzle, you're effectively soft-locked. The right controller disables the sentries, but the left controller can't open the shutters in front of us, needing a controller from the next room over to be pressed in order to unlock this left controller. Confused yet? This puzzle is somehow worse than the last one because not only is the entire room filled with useless controllers, but because walking up to these controllers doesn't do anything. At least that's what we were doing. Me and my team had zero clue on how to progress, and we were wasting so much time until we actually figured out the solution. For some unknown reason, this correct controller has to have someone stand here for 3 seconds just to quote-unquote press to unlock the left controller. And it doesn't end there, because past the shutters, the button to unlock the next door can only be reached by blast jumping or buying enough jump height to get to it. Great. Once the door unlocks, we meet up at point C to start up the generator. Unfortunately, the robots have found us and are about to assault our position. The generator itself is a capture point, and if the robots manage to capture it, it's game over, which means you have to do the entire map over again. This defense takes about 5 minutes to do, and if you're gonna tell me that it's too long, well, at least it's better than the original's horrific 15-minute timer for this segment.
I'm bored. This is boring.
Okay, I can make it more funnier.
Oh.
Yeah, thank you, Table. This is hurting my brain, but this is the only way, I guess.
It's still gonna take a while for it to...
I know.
Alright, I think this is already going in the F tier.
Yes, this is...
You cannot say that.
When is this going to end? Holy shit.
Bro's complaining about a machine attack.
Yeah, we got it!
Wow.
Yeah!
After the generator restores full power to the train, the team makes a run for it, breaking down the door that blocks them off before getting on the train and escaping Junction. This episode sees us on a train. The engineer is riding the team to... somewhere? This map is probably the best I've ever seen. I know in reality it's just a moving skybox, but the map is dynamic and at some point it'll take you through a tunnel. But, of course, what wouldn't be a machine attacks map without some sort of combat sequence? There's a train coming up next to us and somehow the robots have commandeered it. Some bots are even riding vehicles, fast enough to catch up a train going full speed. One of their wagons are holding some missiles, and Spy says that we should shoot the missiles to destroy the train. Gotta say, even though this fight is complete jank, this is a pretty epic encounter. The only challenge here is to stay alive from the onslaught of robots, because dying altogether results in a game over. Staying on top of a vehicle can be a real struggle, since touching the ground is an instant death. It may be the shortest episode of the series, but I quite enjoy the spectacle of it and how fun it was to play this. Anyhow, the mercenaries eventually destroy the opposing train, and soon end up in the next episode. The team stops at somewhere, which is just a CP map called Freight. We're not really sure where to go from here, except that apparently Spy knows another secret, an elevator in this town that they should go through. Before you say anything, nope, he really doesn't get into why we have to go through another secret passage. But let's go. You get jump scared by some giant robots when approaching the front gates, before being introduced to a robot soldier that doesn't shoot you. In fact, this one is sentient and is actually speaking towards us. They say they were part of an elite rank of robots called Reaper, surpassing the ranks of even the giant robots despite their size. They're indicated by this hand-drawn skull icon, which, I'm gonna be honest, it looks kinda goofy. It tells us their proper name, Simonic. Then the boss fight starts. The difficulty of this fight is extremely whack. Remember what I said about how the difficulty can get bullshit? Well, it really starts here. Simonic has 4 phases, starting with their extremely weak pickaxe before switching to the second phase with their shotgun that does a lot of damage. Not a single point of bullet resist can save you from the damage it does, and it is at this point that the campaign wants you to get serious about investing in premium upgrades, because each phase has them about 100k health. And if that doesn't convince you, there's an old SFM video someone made about Simonic, where they demolish the regular players before getting to a real fight with those that use premium upgrades. Man, talk about a life lesson. Anyways, the fight gets even more ridiculous. They use a burst fire direct hit that is almost impossible to dodge, while also jumping extremely high. Then he fires nukes at the team with a blast radius that goes across the entire map.
We need a pyro. We need a pyro. That's just a bomb.
How much damage bonus does that fucking rocket have?
Probably like 9999.
Finally, they're destroyed. Holy moly. For a first encounter against the Reaper, that was a pretty frustrating experience. Apparently this is only a difficulty increase thanks to the remaster, because in the original, Simonic is a complete cakewalk. I feel it's only gonna get worse from here. The front gates are locked, with the sewer being the only way in. We reach the elevator on the other side, only to realize that it doesn't work. Nearby is a deceased corpse of a sniper from Blue Team. Damn. There's a note on them that says to activate 3 generators to power the door, located inside the building we just came from. The first generator is down below the floor, and the second can be found behind the window of a metal gate by going up. The third one is locked behind a code. Looking around, we can find another corpse of Blue Team belonging to the engineer. There's a note that spells out the sequence BAC, BCA, and CAB. We run back to the elevator, but it's been disabled yet again. This time by another member of the Reaper, a robot scout named Jacket, or Jacket, I don't fucking know. They just proudly announces their arrival and jump straight into combat, tossing out Sandman balls on his first phase, and the next phase throwing cleavers that don't really do too much damage. Then the third phase goes back into doing one-shots, where they shoot a barrage of shotgun pellets after drinking their bong. Then on the final phase, they use a crit boosted shortstop shooting fast once again. I'm gonna be honest, this is the most forgettable Reaper in the entire series. With another Reaper out of the way, we have to backtrack to the generators to start up the elevator again before finally concluding the episode as we descend down. We're 5 episodes in, and whatever explanation has been given for us needing to be here is completely lost. I swear to God that I wasn't skipping dialogue by complete accident. Nobody is stopping to ask questions on why we're here. An elevator shaft that is liminal as shit. The good news is that this is where the creator decided to create maps with his own originality. So later down the line, we'll be seeing maps that are kinda just a little bit out there. As we descend down, the robots are coming out from the catwalks, from the commons to giants alike. There's a part with a whole bunch of sentries ambushing you from both sides, practically killing everyone on it if you're unprepared. And just like with the train episode, if everyone dies, it's automatic GG. Short while afterwards, the elevator malfunctions for a brief moment, and before you know it, it breaks off and crashes down below. Everyone blacks out.
Huh? You're a coma. This is a real certified coma moment.
You could tell it's made by a Russian because the M is fucking backwards.
We wake up from the bottom of the elevator shaft that lets us see how far below we are from the surface. Well, looks like we have to find ourselves a way out of here. You're gonna be climbing up on some shaky metal platforms and you'll be falling constantly. There is zero indication of where these broken parts are, impossible to avoid unless you're lucky. Destroying the generator above disables the electric pylon, making it safe to walk up on. Going through the vent above the door leads into a room. In it is a locked door that must be activated by a button on the other side. There's a broken window that we thought needed a grenade launcher to hit the button button on the other side. No, it's just a hint that the bulletproof glass can be broken. The inner machinations of this creator is truly an enigma. The stairs in the next room constantly break, once again with zero indication, but it's pointless to go up anyways because a locked door stops you right here. What you're supposed to do is push a giant metal prop towards the generator room to connect the two broken power lines. This will open up the door, and looking down below is an explosive barrel that can be shot at to unlock a new pathway. We backtrack out to the elevator shaft and go down through another vent. Walk near the valve to unlock the next vent, navigate through some electrified water, then do some tight rock climbing. And up top, enter through the vent that leads out to the elevator shaft again. You can make a low gravity jump here that will allow you to reach up the catwalk, which then leads to a vent maze. There's diverging pathways that can either lead to a dead end or a troll, making the player retrace their steps. The correct route is RNG based upon entering, going down into this particular vent from either of these two pathways. At the end of the vent maze, we drop down into a closet, reaching the end of episode 5. The team is preparing to kill any robots on the other side, only to find that nobody's home.
Aha.
You just die?
Yeah.
This entire hallway is just full of closets. Most are just full of useless junk, and there's a closet with a vent shortcut that is blocked off. Well, there is one closet that leads somewhere. A sewer, of course. Health regen is required for this part because there's barely any medkits around to save you from drowning. Going to the left is a locked gate with a button on the other side. The middle path can get you to that button, but it's full of spinning blades dealing 100 points of damage. Another way to get through is to the rightmost passage, with breakable walls that is 6 layers deep. Destroying every part of the wall reveals some power-ups. One of them will help you resist the damage from the spinning blades. Up ahead is a tall room with a controller that allows a button at the gate to be shot at. But honestly, this button isn't important because you can just shoot the button with explosives and the gate will still open regardless. The mercenaries finally make it out of the sewer. Everyone recuperates until a robotic voice comes out from the loudspeakers in the room. Alright, so this is the moment where the story decides to take itself seriously moving forward. And the best way to convey that is, shit, I guess there's only one way to do it, huh?
Welcome here, you all.
Wait, this sound is just like Spy, but he's not human. In fact, it's a robot Spy.
Ha ha ha! I'm impressed that you all reached this far into our base. I will be waiting for you up ahead, and we will meet face to face, gentlemen.
This may be a trap, but we have no choice. Let's go! Unfortunately, there are robots ahead coming to attack us. We need to reach the other side of the bridge and capture the zone that's behind the garage. Doing so stops all the bots from spawning. You might want to hold off on it for a bit so that you can farm the large amount of currency for the upcoming battle. Up ahead is a boss room where we're trapped by more of the Reaper bots. A heavy, pyro, and a demo bot. The heavy bot calls her heavy Putus Man. Hilarious. The robot Spy appears through the window above, making fun of us for falling for the trap. I will kill you, Spy! Get down here! I will beat you down!
Yes, I'll do that later, but now, I have something better than this. I will send this Demo Man Reaper to fight you, who is named Benai. I'm sure you all will enjoy this bloody party.
Hey, what about 2 of us?
You two shall leave him. Those humans will be defeated in this room. Benai, cut their balls off.
Ha ha ha! Come on, human. Let's enjoy the deathmatch.
The third boss fight begins, and just like Simonic, the remaster has super buff Benai with insta-kill weapons and a gargantuan total of 5.6 million health, split between 4 phases. They use Claymore in the first phase, dealing 9 times the amount of damage. Also, they heal on kill, with no limit to how high the overkill can get. If you get killed enough times here, it'll become impossible to move past this first phase. Premium upgrades at this stage is practically non-negotiable, which is a shame for anyone that never manages to download the premium upgrades.
That's a lot of damage.
Phase 2 is somehow the weakest. Not only does their katana deal barely any damage, but they have the lowest amount of health at 400,000 here. You can use your own katana to one-shot them. Third phase is a whole bunch of pipe spam with no chance of escaping the blast zone. Even when you do max out all your resistances, including the premium range damage resistance up to 90%, it's still not enough to survive. So you'll need max health upgrades on top of it, which then becomes completely pointless. Since reaching the 4th phase, they use sticky bombs that insta-kills the players no matter what. You can't span more than 1 second alive without having Uber canteens or using a shield medic and hiding behind them from the explosions. I mean, what a horrible boss fight! Once Benai is finished, they leave one last trump card by planting a bomb in the middle of the room. The team needs to escape. All they have to do, like the prior chapters, is shooting down the door in front of them. You navigate through a corridor of obstacles, including layers of glass that can be shot down and lasers to jump over. Press a button to open up a door, hugging door after door, opening each one before finally reaching the light at the end of the tunnel. The mercenaries find themselves outside in a desert, and the robot facility behind them now in ruins. It is here the second plot point is finally established, which is to stop the robots from doing whatever it is that they're trying to do. The team doesn't know what their plan is and believes they can seek answers at another facility down the road. There's several robots along the way, must have been expecting us, but there's a tank armed with sentry guns that needs to be destroyed in order to progress further. Huh, never thought that the sentry tank from Tyan would be inspired from machine attacks of all places. Proceed towards the facility up ahead, but watch out, there's a sniper taking advantage of this ginormous sightline. But it's not just an ordinary sniper though, it's a Reaper. The controls in the toll booth is unpowered, and just like the power room from episode 5, you'll need to push a battery into a slot to power the button. Unironically the hardest part of this mission because melees don't push the batteries around, requiring you to use guns, and the knockback is extremely wonky.
Oh, in there.
We need Heavy to take care of it.
Fine.
What? Come on.
Oh.
What? Oh my god, the physics. Oh, let's go. Alternatively, you can just shoot the button by the door. It'll take a while, but you'll eventually be able to open it. The facility opens to an entire warehouse full of shipping containers, with spies hiding at every corner. The path ahead is blocked off, requiring us to collect 3 pieces of dynamite around to blow it open. Inside, we see more corpses from Blue Team, Scout and Heavy, slaughtered by the bots. This second third of the episode turns into a puzzle and platforming simulator. Going forward are rooms that can only be accessed by pressing these buttons. First room is full of lasers that you have to carefully navigate through. The second room is where you have to speedrun across the other side before the gate closes. You ride up this elevator at the end and navigate over the scaffolding on the ceiling. If you fall down, you have to retrace your steps depending on where you land. You can't jump your way back up because there's a death barrier blocking you from doing so. It will take a while to navigate across the scaffolding because you have to make a U-turn onto the other side, hopefully making it towards the end. Descend down and you can unlock the shortcut for everyone to proceed further. It is here we see the rest of the trial separated by floors, and man, this series really drags the levels hard with these puzzle sections. First floor is a maze, needing us to reach the upper right corner of the layout. Heading through a teleporter, the second floor requires you to survive for 1 minute against the robots, which should be easy with the cash earned throughout. The third floor is a series of obstacles, starting with these rocky walls that need to be traversed with blast jumping or just enough jump height to get past. There's spikes that can insta-kill you and can appear on the floor, the wall, or even the ceiling. There's a hallway full of lasers that can be pretty easy to navigate through with the correct timing. Then the fourth floor jump scares you with a hallway full of sentry guns. Either have a spy disguise themselves and disable them ahead, or have enough speed and survivability to get past. The fifth floor puts you in a room against 50 giants and they all have to be destroyed, which can take pretty long when only 3 can be active at a time. Finally, on the 6th floor, we meet face to face with the Reaper sniper who sniped us in the beginning, calling themselves Duvada. The engineer asks what sort of plan the robots are acting out, to which Duvada says,
We will take over the world. It will become 4 hours.
Oh shit!
Then the fight begins. Compared to Benign, this boss is a complete joke, with only around 410k health, which is still somewhat less than Simonic. You can also kinda just cheese them by getting them stuck inside a sentry gun when they spawn in. Without going into them too much, first phase has them using the SMG, then they piss all over the room, as well as summoning bushwhacker minions. Then the third phase, he makes a Skyrim reference and uses a huntsman inflicting a bunch of status effects to players. Then it goes further into the final phase with the Cleaner's Carbine that shoots players up into the air and sunlocks them. This phase is pretty annoying, but Uber can be effective counter against them. Once you kill Duvada, the mercenaries proceed to the door and the episode ends. Man, the infrastructure just doesn't make any sense anymore. We came from a warehouse filled with mazes to now some sort of tank factory? It's also got this sort of brutalist thing going on where they slap windows across the ceilings and walls. The team, now motivated to stop the robots from taking over the world, are interrupted by someone over the intercom, but this time, it's Gray Man. And no, we can't kill him here because he says he's not here. The mercenaries need to escape once again, but the only way out is past this massive gate, which, to our dismay, can't be shot down. The engineer, with 11 hard science PhDs, decides to hack the computer to open it. Gray Man is pissed off, and he sends robots to destroy the computer by deploying a bomb into this rather convenient hatch. Engineer mentions that it would take 10 hours, and the team is getting impatient by the minutes, with Scout insulting him by calling him short. Spy helps out by sapping the anti-hacking security, allowing the engineer to continue opening the gate. Now, before I move the story further, I'm gonna tell you right now that I'm trying to rush through this episode, because unlike the episodes that were more adventurous and kick-ass, this one has you defending a hatch like a standard MvM mission. The map is extremely huge with 2 spawns. One goes from the left and the other far down below. Not only is this the longest chapter in all of machine attacks, but it's just extremely boring. You can leave a sniper with premium upgrades down at the far bottom, while the rest of the team can just fight the robots at the left spawn. The first half is just fighting common spam with a few tanks here and there, and the second half spikes up in difficulty with giant spam. And each wave is much longer than you think, and there's 10 to get through. Even worse, it's possible to crash the game at the later half of the mission due to the amount of upgrades you'll need, and you'll suffer through buffer overflow that can cause you to lose a slot on the server. Wave 9 is without a doubt the worst wave ever. It's the fact that there's a tank with an extremely obscene 100 million HP. This wave needs premium upgrades, no shit, but you'll also need the best classes that scales exponentially in power, and I've used the panic button too, and I counted. You need to press the panic button 100 times in order to kill this 100 million health tank. Now I would have said that this wave is impossible to solo, but I've been through worse situations, far worse than shooting at a blue rectangle for 3 minutes. With the premium upgrades I was able to use, I played soldier and upgraded every damage increase I could think of for beating this tank. Continuing with the story, the hacking reaches 90% by the final wave, and the entire second half of the facility is locked down. Greyman is pretty big mad at how much progress the mercenaries made, and sends one of the Reapers down to fight. The heavy robot that was seen from episode 5 goes by Spencer, and is gooning as we speak. Wait, are you telling me that the reason this guy's named Spencer is because Heavy says Putis Spencer? This guy's full name is Putis Spencer? Oh my god, this guy literally puts Putis in every one of his single attack moves. Yeah, bro thinks he's him. Let's just kill him. The biggest challenge of this boss fight actually isn't the fact that it insta-kills you, or the insane amount of health it has, which is a grand total of 38 million health. It's the amount of health regen they have, which accounts for 1% of their health. It doesn't sound bad, but when you realize that Spencer usually has around 7 to 11 million health per phase, it's still a rather obscene amount of healing. If you bought the wrong upgrades or just don't have the damage, you're basically soft-locked from beating this boss. Most of Spencer's phases will just insta-kill you, yada yada yada, and then he's got like a shotgun in a third phase, and then a crit boosted minigun that instantly spins up. The way our team beat this was having snipers sit around the edges of the room, building as a glass cannon just so we can outpace the health regen, while having a shield medic to take the aggro. Once Spencer dies, the massive gate finally opens. The mercenaries hop on board a vacant ship and autopilots it to go directly towards Greyman's base, and the episode ends. The ship is currently 100 kilometers from Greyman's base. The sniper asks a frankly stupid question, but the heavy says that he doesn't feel so good. And right he is, because there's an incoming ship full of bots coming from the right. Soon enough, there's more ships coming from the left, and another directly on top of the mercenaries that spawns giant robots on the wings of a ship.
Oh, hey, look, a third ship.
God help? What the f? Gameplay is quite similar to episode 3, but much more difficult. Everyone has to stay alive, otherwise it's game over. Your ship can actually be damaged, and several parts can go missing, removing cover and possibly making players fall to their deaths. These bots are rather janky to fight because they constantly spawn on top of their ship. Sometimes they'll fall off too. Since this part progresses on a timer, the laziest way to get through this is by disguising as a spy and just standing in a corner while avoiding the damage. After a pretty lengthy amount of time, there's a giant ship coming down below. Jesus, says a sniper. Scout brings up the idea of jumping down to it, and so everyone grabs the parachutes in the ship and hops off. There's a skydive challenge here that if you don't go through the white ring, you die. But at least dying here doesn't result in a game over. Once you land on a giant ship, the episode ends. The team wakes up in the morning from their slumber. Wait, really? They just easily lost the robots on their way down? Not to mention that this giant ship possibly could have robots too. Alright, so we're sneaking in again. Walking down a roof and heading towards the right, we reach a vent with a fan at the end that needs to be shot down before going in. Inside is a puzzle room. Destroying the boxes behind the door on the right reveals a switch that flips open the vent on the ceiling. This introduces a recurring puzzle that requires a demo man. They need to shoot pipes into the vent so that they can hit the button on the other side. And for clarification, you need the stock grenade launcher to do this, not the iron bomber. No demo man, no progression. Past the room, we're greeted by an extremely massive door with ominous lighting, shortly revealing a new robot type called Titans with a soldier behind it. Mobocracy would steal this idea several years later. The next puzzle requires us to unlock a door with the right combination. Our team took forever to find a solution in the offices upstairs. I'm serious. Nowhere in these rooms did we ever manage to find some clue to progress the puzzle, so we asked for some help.
Usually the code alternates between a U
a X or two lines opposite of each other with a middle being clear. Okay. There it is, door open. Move,
What?
go.
How the fuck are we supposed
to know?
Later, I found out there was actually a note with the solution. The only problem is that this was in the worst possible position since the location is RNG based. And why is it placed on top of a shelf that far high up? Oh, but the other locations can be put on a table or device? That's not fair. The gate that leads into the so-called visitor center is locked, which can only be accessed by a button behind the window. But by some miracle, we finally came across a member of Blue Team that's alive, the spy who's calling for help. Oh my god, hi Red Team, I need your help. Our team was captured by those robots on this giant ship. Please, you gotta trust me. But immediately, the Red Team is suspicious of the Blue Spy, despite acknowledging the corpses throughout the campaign, and even thinking about teaming up against the robots back in the first episode. Guys, it's a trap, don't trust him. He's not human at all, he's a machine. Guys, I'm human, flesh and blood. Come on, guys, we need to cooperate together. Pretty please. Well, that's enough to convince me. Can you open this door for us? Yeah, give me a minute. I gotta press this button right here. But as I try to do so, an ominous figure appears behind. Oh my god, it's Robot Spy.
Blue Spy robot. Goodbye, bozo.
Oh my god.
This is peak. This is fucking peak.
Well, I guess you could say that was a machine attack.
I hate you, Robot Spy. Tell us, why are you machines attacking the world?
Our goals are beyond your understanding, and quite frankly, it's above my pay grade, so I can't answer that question. Anyways, how did you even get in here?
I won't answer your question neither. You killed Blue Spy.
Anyways, I'm gonna send a medic reaper to catch you all.
And get this medic robot's name is Kriza Uba. Bro, what the fuck are these names? Kriza Uba wants revenge for their late friend Spencer and starts throwing hands. This medic reaper is a fairly easy boss fight. They just shoot out a barrage of syringes dealing a lot of damage. Easily dodgeable, of course. He starts spotting Titan robots as he goes through the phases. There's a Titan demo on phase 2, then a Titan scout that has his rather annoying mid-air stun on bleed. Obviously the medic fights back once her pocket dies. On the final phase, they pocket a Titan heavy shooting tracers, and this time shooting their crossbow extremely fast. They do stand still though, so you can just shoot behind the wall and kill them. Kriza Uba is defeated. Call me a medpicker because I just dropped a Kriza Uba. In spite of this victory, the robot spy fills the entire room with poison gas. And just to be clear, this gas pierces the skins and clothes. All the mercenaries black out. Regaining consciousness, we find ourselves trapped inside a single test tube. Robot Spy communicates with Greyman of their success, and it is in this conversation that their name is finally revealed, Metal-Gen. Ray orders Metal-Gen to gas the rest of the surviving Blue Team, and this time, all of Blue Team are now dead. With only Red Team alive, Gray says to kill them too, but not only that, steal all of their money, which they actually do. There's no plot twist in this one. They just all die. The end. Or is it? The mercenaries wake up from their hospital beds, even though not moments ago they were gassed to death. Confused with their current situation, they step outside, only to find themselves in the underworld, with zombies rising from their graves. By the way, this is the only episode that uses medieval rules, so you can't use guns here. Clearing all the zombies out, we meet Marasmus, who is surprised to see us in hell. Soldier asks for help getting everyone out, to which Marasmus says to meet him at a level channel, which is all the way towards the end of this first area. Alright, we fight some more zombies along the way, also running across Triple H, and for me at least, this area is way too dark. Use the original for comparison. Going into the cave entrance, we can see the other side of what are presumably the level channels, but to get there, we have to head towards the top and platform across the rocky wall. Platform over the lava, and down below, we can finally meet up with Marasmus. In order for Marasmus to revive everyone and get them out of hell, the mercenaries need to clear all 7 channels, and only one of them can be done at a time. Alright, for the sake of time, let's just go through these very quickly. First channel is a gauntlet, and the team must survive against the zombies for 1 minute. Second channel is a platform section. Jumping onto the boxes that appear most recently is the right way to complete this channel. Third channel is a death run. You dodge all of the traps in the first room and melee the wall at the end to progress forward. There's a walkway marked by lights. Stepping on the green lights are the only way forward. Around the corner are ceiling crushers. Some are fast, others are quite slow. Next is a tiny walkway with a moving wall. Only one of the holes can be opened at a time. Last section is similar to the previous channel, but with smaller and completely static platforms. Fourth channel is complete and utter darkness, with the solution that can be observed from the right. This requires you to use your senses, but you're better off using exploits because this part is extremely difficult otherwise. Check where you are by taunting and moving your camera out, or go into third person and completely trivializing this channel. Fifth channel will make your entire head spin, an eye-gouging puzzle of colored doorways. There's 3 floors to get through, and going through the wrong doorway sends you back to the start of the current floor. First and second floors are the exact same, with the third that teleports players to lettered rooms. If you get lost here, you better hope to God that someone further ahead can make it towards the end. Sixth channel is a classic Donkey Kong level. You have to avoid the giant boulders rolling down, while also dealing with charging Persian demos. At the top is a gate you have to destroy to complete the level. And the 7th channel is simple, just kill a giant pyro to beat it. Oof, after beating all of those channels, Erasmus honors his word and sends the mercenaries back into the real world. And somebody finally calls the robot spy Reaper Spy. Thank All of Red Team has been resurrected and wake up next to the dead bodies of Blue Team and useless debris. It appears that the team is inside a garbage disposal, but oh no, it appears that the floor below is starting to open up.
Well guys, there's only one thing left to do. We need to escape this facility.
The team notices a part of the wall that's slightly dusted, so they shoot down this wall to break through and escape safely. Okay, this episode doesn't say it at all, but we're supposed to find Metal Gen inside the giant ship and kill him. And just like episode 1 from way back when, we need to capture each zone around the ship. Metal Gen is surprised for the 3rd time and is sending robots after us. Among them is a new special robot that has no introduction whatsoever, called Chaos. Basically a shotgun pyro that gives you a whole bunch of status effects: bleed, slow, bark for death, all that stuff. Yeah, this robot is pretty bullshit because your bleed duration lasts for an entire minute and 30 seconds. And trust me when I say that you haven't seen the worst of it yet. Capturing the 2nd point, we descend down towards a spiral ramp where we can get to the 3rd point at the bottom. Past the door is a whole bunch of giant robots, along with the Titan robot that is protecting the final control point. The frustrating part of this is that the Titan will insta-kill any class on hit. Ubercharge canteens will be needed here, or you'll be getting one-shotted constantly. We capture the last point and go into a boss room, facing a Reaper engineer calling themselves Tink. He calls us noobs, which is extremely rude. Then they jump straight into a boss fight. And boy, if you thought Spencer was bad, wait until you get to Tink. First phase is Tink trying to build somewhere but can easily be cock-blocked. Next phase, they transform into a shotgun soldier like Simonek and decimates everyone in front of them. Third phase has them operate the control room above, requiring players to destroy the window. And this is where things get really bad. Throughout all of this, they send out minions that just makes this fight extremely awful to play. Some of the ads will just straight up one-shot you, and even more powerful than the boss. It's even worse as you get to the 4th phase that this boss utilizes all of his traps, with windows above opening with sentry guns, lasers moving across each side of the room, cannons shooting out rockets from the front, and the floor moving around that makes players fall into the water pit. You're gonna be dying over and over again. And this phase will take extremely long due to the fact that the window opens and closes constantly, and you only have a small amount of time to dish out all the damage you have. God, this fight is just completely miserable, man.
And then you just have Skinking here cheating.
Well, this is a BS boss fight. What do you expect?
Once Sync dies, we go into the next door, and in less than 1 second, we catch up with Metal Gen. Surrounded by the mercenaries with nowhere to go, the episode ends on a cliffhanger. For now, that is. Are you ready to die, Reaper Spy?
Don't think it should be easy to kill me, fools.
Fuck you, you're gonna die, so shut up.
See? This is your money, and now it's mine.
Oh shit, that's ours! Get him back!
I will change this money to my power.
For some unknown reason, this fight has a high chance of crashing players to desktop, basically preventing this episode from being played at all. It was only until I found out that Metal Gen was carrying the red tape recorder, which crashes people's games if you give it to a spy bot. It's not like you'll be missing much though. This boss fight is insufferable due to the fact that it's extremely buggy. Metal Gen will constantly try to go back inside their spawn point, and in one particular phase, he's gonna camp in a corner and spawn camp you. You cannot play this boss fight without having credits to spend on Ubercharge canteens. And worse yet, there's a small chance that you'll be softlocked per phase, meaning that the only way to progress forward is to reset the encounter. With the money that he injected into himself, he'll use magic beyond phase 1, like arrows raining down on phase 2, the electric balls on phase 3 that does barely any damage, and a bullet hell of rockets rotating from the middle on the final phase.
No.
Killing Metal Gen, the giant ship blows up with a pop-up message explaining the most obvious way possible. There's only one way out, which is through the window. Heavy suggests breaking through the window, but not only that, take the bumper cars with them as well. We find ourselves in a swamp, with the giant ship we escaped from exploding in the background. The red team refocuses on their main goal, which is to get to Gray Man's base, and the way they get there is by, you guessed it, bumper cars. Before heading out, Spy found a recording of a conversation between Metal Gen and Gray Man that took place before Blue Spy was killed. Gray mentions a plan to attack Man City where some of his robots have allegedly betrayed him. Wait, I'm sorry, betrayed? Alright, whatever man. Spy suggests allying with said robots because the enemy of my enemy is my friend, right? So the goal now is to drive to Man City and establish an alliance with the rebel robots. This entire second part of the episode is split across 3 maps and essentially plays out like a racing game. Controlling these bumper cars is extremely jank due to the input delay, and the first area immediately throws in a test for you to jump over the gaps and boost over. First time I played through this map, I was constantly falling down into the pits because the campaign didn't prepare me for it, and because of that, I didn't get to experience the other 2/3 of the map before moving on to the next one. But let's see what I missed out on. After moving through the caves, you'll see robots shooting you along the way. Some points, you'll see a tank shooting rockets. I wonder if the guy that made the combat tank ever saw this. Thankfully, the creator does give you money to buy resistances, but health kits are also very few and far between, so you'll need health regen as well. The easiest way to drive through these maps is to play Spy and disguise yourself before hopping on. And yes, these maps will try to make you lose your disguise, but by pressing your disguise hotkey, you'll be able to bypass them. None of the bots and the sentries will be able to target you, so all you have to do is focus on driving and jumping over obstacles, avoiding the sticky traps in the rocket tanks, dashing past the sentry busters, and going through the canals. These maps are honestly pretty cool to go through, especially when you're under constant fire. The third map though is a canyon that must be carefully navigated through. There's no robots or sentries in this map, so the best thing to upgrade is jump height to make the gaps easier to cross, especially when you get to the upper mountains. You jump across the gaps with a broken bridge and descend down the mountain while avoiding the field of palm trees. Then, we fly across the gap towards the other side. Reaching it is where episode 12 ends. Engineer says that we just have to pass through the mountain and get to a bridge, where we can cross over to reach Man City. But this entire cave is filled with nothing but pure dust. Navigating on foot would be impossible here, but luckily, the cart next to us just so happens to have grapple hooks that we can use to pass through. As expected, there's robots in the canyons to fight. Not too far ahead, you'll be facing a robot ship firing rockets. Premium upgrades will destroy this thing in 1 second. It is up through this tunnel that we're introduced to another type of robots called elites. Tiny giants that are extremely powerful, but not as tanky as a Reaper. They're only important to talk about here because we have to plant a bomb to stop them from spawning. Kill more robots, and there's an invisible wall that requires you to kill enough titans to proceed further up. There's a beggar's bazooka turret that you can man, which is interesting to say the least. More dust, grapple over, finally making it out towards the bridge, which looks more like a highway. The robots have already set up blockades that the team must clear out one by one. Out in the distance, you can kind of see a silhouette of what looks like the capital of Man City. Before proceeding further though, there's a Reaper up ahead, but it's the last one remaining. The Pyrobot that was seen back from episode 6, who is named Maha. They can't speak a single word of English, so we can't understand what Maha is saying. Not even the conversation Pyro is having with them at all. And to be honest, this is the only time Pyro has any sort of plot relevance. This is it, the last boss fight with the Reaper. Let's do this. First phase is easy where they just run at you and swing their fire axe. Then they use a scorch shot with an explosion radius that's the size of the entire map. It's impossible to avoid the high amount of fire damage. Having a sentry gun works here because it'll block the flares from triggering their massive explosion effects. The third phase, they use a Dragon's Fury, and just like with the first phase, it's pretty easy if you get outside their range. By the fourth phase, they use a flamethrower that lets them air blast projectiles. Getting air blasted will send you high up into the sky and with a death barrier in the skybox for you to die from, implying that the player gets sent to outer space. Maha is finally defeated, and with it, the last of the Reaper bots. The mercenaries rush towards Man City in hopes of saving the red robots in time. We finally reach Man City, or more specifically, Man City's Zone C. There's a sound of gunfire out in the distance. We investigate the area, and it is here we finally meet with the rebel robots we've been looking for. But there's only 3 survivors, the soldier, sniper, and scout bots. So, you're not machine attacks?
No, stupid. We're the machine rebels. And what are you doing here? You should get out of the city.
Well, we need to find a way to Gray's base.
I know a way through.
We know about a shortcut that can get you there. I'll tell you more once we get inside our house. Okay, we're inside our house.
You know, if the robots are in the city, why did you guys escape?
Well, we tried to, but we're running low on power, so we had no choice but to fight for survival.
Alright, stop. We're skipping through this. Basically, we're asking for help, but at the same time, they're asking for help from us. Now, we're about to get ourselves into the 2 worst episodes in Machine Attacks, starting by addressing the elephants in the room. Throughout the entire campaign, you're constantly killing robots and trying to stop Greyman from taking over the world. The only robots that speak in the story are the Reaper bots, and all they talk about is wanting to kill you, so you're never entertained the idea that these robots can be free thinkers. But here, all of a sudden, you have these robots painted in red that somehow have the sentience to act against Greyman. They're not as special as the Reaper bots, and it's never explained how the robots here managed to turn against Greyman either. And for whatever reason, Red Team are more trustful of these bots than the Blue Spy. 2 of the biggest questions are, what are the rebel robots' goal in betraying Greyman, and why couldn't Greyman bother to send a Titan or Elite robot to curb stop the shit out of these guys? Bottom line is, I'm looking too deep into a 12-year-old campaign. Instead of being a linear story experience like the prior episodes, episode 14 plays like an open world RPG. The map is quite massive, but unlike episode 8, this one is much more engaging. There's buildings to explore as you traverse around the map, but as expected, a map like this is terrible to navigate if you're not playing as Soldier or Demo. There's a teleporter that sends you around the map, but you still need move speed upgrades to get around. And yep, these sidelines means you're gonna get sniped out of nowhere and get one-shotted. The map does get worse as you progress through the episode. The objectives are split into several main quests. Right now, the goal is to get inside the castle to obtain something that the robot soldier needs. However, the castle is filled with lethal gas that will instantly kill you. Before getting into the details, we're rudely interrupted by an incoming robot ship, which marks our first mission. All we have to do is destroy the ship that's flying around the map. Not even sure why the ship needs to be here other than for the sake of padding. Then, we move on to the second mission. The robot soldier doesn't tell us what's inside that he needs. Instead, wants us to find fuel, batteries, and metal scraps to repair them in the other rebel bots. What? Last I remembered, robots run on cash, not parts for your freaking car. Find batteries inside the barn house, metal scraps are on the top floor of the Manco Hotel nearby, and the fuel is inside the Jimmy Jam Mart, located on the shelf farthest from the main entrance. Once that's done, the story finally moves forward. Robot Soldier starts talking about the gas in the castle. As mentioned earlier, the castle is covered in lethal gas, but they do know how to make a potion to protect us from the deadly gas. Okay? And this time, be prepared to take notes because there's even more things to collect. You need to find cactus at the farm, a pumpkin that's in a box near the base, then at the garden behind the beer store there are some mushrooms to grab, and lastly, go to the library and collect yellow potions. I mean it when I say that you need to take notes or look up a guide, because the creator never reminds you where they can be located. These lines can easily be missed if you are in the upgrade menu. If you're stuck on this quest, then you'll just have to look up a walkthrough, because I'm telling you, on this map, you're gonna be walking around aimlessly without the context clues to provide you the help. Returning to Robot Soldier, the potions have been crafted, and we can now become immune to the castle's gas. But we found out that the Robot Scout has gone missing. Robot Snipers saw that he was captured by the robots and taken into the castle. Well, we gotta rescue them. Inside the castle walls, the interior is locked. Unlock the gates by hitting this lever on the roof, and proceed towards the first floor to find a piano. Besides the piano is a table with the key, which can surprisingly be easy to miss. There are 2 rooms on the roof that are locked. Use the key to go into the right door, head upstairs, and shoot the wooden boards that are blocking the left door. Then, we gently open the left door. In the room, we find it's Robot Scout, and they're in several parts.
Oh, finally you're here. I thought those robots would have been broken by you. They captured me, but I was able to escape from them. Also, I managed to steal some information. I may be in several pieces, but I was able to lock myself in here from those bots, and I hid that information in case they break down the door. Sorry, I'm gonna die. I can't get that information for you. I hope you can find it.
Robot Scout unfortunately shuts down. Damn, I only knew that guy for 30 seconds. Now, let's all find that information. We find the solo notes ourselves, which is under this brightly lit box. We return to Robot Soldier, along with the bad news. He grieves for the Robot Scout, but then moves on within the same sentence? The notes that Robot Soldier analyzed reveals a code to opening a passage to Zone B, which they claim is the only way to get to Greyman's base. The passage can only be accessed by robots who can input the access code, so both the Robot Soldier and Sniper need to be present. This last quest is a holdout segment that requires you to defend the area for 2 minutes. With the damage and survival survivability earned over time, it can be a cakewalk. Just make sure to get knockback resist because some robots can push you across the entire map. And if you can't return to the holdout area, then you have to reset the quest. Once the gate unlocks, we proceed through the metal passageway and move on to the next chapter. We finally arrive at Zone B of Man City. The area is completely taken over by robots with multiple outposts around the map. Robot soldiers suggest capturing the zone near us, which will establish our main base of operations. In order to reach Gray Man's base, Robot Soldier says to set up a teleport on the roof that will take us there. And just like before, you'll be doing more fetch quests in an open world map. Imagine the last episode. Now imagine that, but every mechanic is turned up to 11 and the problems from episode 8 brought over. This time, each and every quest has a level requirement, and every level spawns an additional type of bot that is harder than the last. We're in the final stages of the campaign, which does make sense for things to get harder now, but the level progression is extremely fast. And yes, this map requires you to farm robots for cash, and the low amount of cash you earn from these weaker bots makes the early game extremely unbearable. And throughout this episode, you're just gonna die out of nowhere because the bots have no limit to their vision range. What's worse is that there's no way to slow down your progression at all, not even a level cap to hit before a mission requirement. It's making this whole episode just horrible to play in general. There's a whiteboard that explains the mechanics you get to help you, but if I'm being honest, these never worked, at least from my playthrough. These capture zones around a map take way too long to capture, and all they really do is unlock fast travel points from the main base and power-up rooms if there are any. For the sake of time, it's really best to ignore these, because the robots can just retake the control point. Anyways, by reaching level 3, we unlock the first mission, which is collecting stuff for the teleport on the roof. The fuel can be found in a blue cargo truck, the satellite is found in the church at the balcony, and the power and jerseys can be found at a flipped over truck near point B. And just like the prior episode, the author doesn't remind you of their locations in game, so you'll have to look up where they are. The next mission requires you to reach level 5, having us defend the base from the incoming tanks. Hey, remember what I mentioned earlier about the uncapped leveling? Well, just like episode 8, this is a DPS check, and taking this mission early on means a death sentence. Failing in this quest will set you back several minutes of progress and make you do the entire episode all over again. If you farmed up enough cash to get every damage upgrade, you can shred these tanks like they're nothing. There's a final tank that has slightly bigger health than the others, but not as bad as a 100 million health tank. But again, the problem is the boss that you spawned at max level. The Titans, the Elites, the Chaos robots, not to mention a robot that you're not supposed to see in the first 10 minutes of the game. All with their extremely high damage will be there to stop you. So you'll also need to pile on premium damage resist and max health upgrades. It's only a terrible quest in the fact that it requires you to farm credits ahead of time. Reaching level 7, we can take the next mission. We're told to destroy robot teleporters around the map to reduce the amount of robots we would have to face in the finale. If you've been exploring the map while leveling up, this mission should be pretty simple. I should also say that this quest literally changes nothing since it's all to set up the next one. Returning back at level 9, we find Robot Sniper ripped to pieces. Oh no. They tell us that a Reaper has took a robot soldier to the prison and locked him up inside a jail cell. Wait, but we just killed all of the Reapers throughout the campaign. How is it possible that there's still more?
If a Reaper dies, Gray Man chooses a new robot to replace them through the Gray Arena. Gray Man conducts versus battles, and whoever wins in the competition becomes a Reaper, basically the number 1 of their class. Anyways, you gotta go rescue Robot Soldier. My role in the story is over, but you should know that Soldier is different, smarter than all of us rebel bots.
Wow, what a sudden revelation. Can you tell us more about how Soldier is different or smarter than all of you?
Nah, I ain't telling ya. Goodbye.
Wow, that sounds like a whole bunch of contrived rubbish. Thank you for your service, Robot Sniper. Okay, so this mission has a very convoluted way of progressing through, so try your best to follow along. The front entrance is locked, as expected. Going towards the back, you'll see a long vent. We break it open and crawl through the right side path. Inside, the whole prison is locked down. We can deactivate the lockdown by crawling through another vent in a room nearby and walking up to a controller at the end. We search around each floor, jail cell after jail cell, until we finally meet Robot Soldier on the top floor.
Oh my god, please, you gotta get me out of here. The prison food is so terrible. There's a control room to unlock my cell. I hope it's not locked or anything.
Oh shit, wouldn't you know it, the control room is locked. The only way to get in is by going through the highest level vents at the back outside. You either buy a lot of jump height or blast your way up there, but you can't operate the controller because you need a code. In one of the rooms just before the second entrance, you can find a key. This key unlocks a door outside at the back, which helps us find said code. And finally, by interacting with the controls, we free Robot Soldier and escape back to the base. Oh right, I guess there's supposed to be a Reaper around, but depending on when you kill them, you'll never see them at all, even though the dialogue suggests that they're present. Anyways, we get to the final mission. Soldier asks why the Reaper bots didn't kill Robot Soldier, to which they say that they were used solely to lure Red Team out and to have them die by the Reapers themselves. Going on to say that nobody has ever survived from a Reaper bot before. Well, with everything needed for the teleporter, Robot Soldier starts work on getting Red Team teleported to Gray Man's base. Just like from the last episode, we have to hold out on the rooftop for 2 minutes until the teleporter is ready. Since you farmed up so much money, the segment is a cakewalk. After enough time has passed, the portal activates, and the path to Gray Man's base opens.
The portal's completed. Everyone, let's go.
And what about you? Why don't you come along with us?
Sorry, I can't go. If I don't control this teleporter, it will be shut down. I hope you all to kick Gray Man's ass. Farewell.
No! If you stay here, you're gonna die! Robot Soldier, you're gonna die like the rest of the other rebels, right? Fine. Alright, Soldier, say your thing. Damn it! You are the best robot I've ever seen. Goodbye! I hope we will see you again, Mr. Robot. Bro, there's no fucking way that he stays alive at the very... Red Team makes it inside Gray Man's base, which from the look of things appears to be Mann Co HQ, or it could be Gray Gravel Co, but knowing the creator, it could literally be anything. Well, there's no turning back now. Let's all stop Gray Man from taking over the world. This first half of the map, you're constantly doing door puzzles, and a majority of them involve shooting down power boxes. The second door requires somebody to blast jump onto the second floor to break down the power box on the other side. Now, this third door looks like it completely cucks solo players, but it doesn't. There's a recording by this machine emitting sparks, left behind by the red robot engineer. Yeah, if you completely forgot that they were among the robot corpses in episode 14, I wouldn't blame you. The clue they left behind is an extreme roundabout way of saying to stand around at the opposite corner by this machine and the door will open. Not a second into the next room and you already have your fourth locked door. Well, good thing there's an upgrade station, I guess. You step on this button to unlock a room and shoot through a vent, breaking the boxes on the other side. Right, I did say this was a recurring Demoman puzzle, and well, it's the second and last one of the entire campaign, and even then, you can do the same thing with Soldier. Rush past the bots that make no sense of being there, past the 2 sets of double doors, and then boom! Another locked door puzzle stops you right here, this time an elevator. Not only do you have to destroy the 2 power boxes, but you have to solve another puzzle with the right sequence. The notes tell you how to solve it, but we tried everything to no avail. Tell me how the sequence that we're putting in isn't the correct solution. Anyway, none of this stuff matters since you can just ride up the elevator and clip straight through the spawn barrier. Reaching up the next half of the map, Gray Man speaks over the intercom, telling us that if we were to meet him face to face, we have to go through several trials. Now, where have I heard this one before? These trials make up for what is essentially a death run segment, requiring us to activate several buttons to get through each room. Sometimes you're going back and forth pressing buttons simultaneously. Miserable is the only word to describe this experience. You're gonna be dying over and over again due to the myriad of traps that insta-kill you. Spike traps, spinning blades, arrow traps that are completely silent, and lasers that move around. Not only that, there's robots that are constantly body blocking you and can get you stuck inside their spawn point. If you want to get through this segment fast, just use Uber canteens to get past the lasers and the arrow traps. Finally activating the last few buttons, the second elevator activates. You ride up the elevator and enter through the light, switching over to 16B, which will actually be the final level of this entire campaign. The very first minute of this map has you walking through these extremely elongated hallways, giving Tyan a run for its money. After all the locked doors, the death traps, Gray Man still isn't willing to fight us just yet. Instead, there is one more trial ahead of us, the Gray Arena. From what we have learned, this arena is how Gray Man chooses his bots to become Reapers. Instead of Gray Man that's overlooking the competition though, it's a generic announcer character. How lame. You'll need to win in the Gray Arena 5 times before proceeding further. And each round is long, mostly due to how the dialogue between each round takes forever to proceed. The bots for some reason can target you past the barrier, so if you have a teammate that can bait their targeting, most of the rounds can be trivialized. Some rounds have you needing 2 or 3 teammates to compete against the same number of opponents. As a solo player, you don't have to worry about being soft locked or anything, but if I'm being honest, these bots are pretty piss easy since the map gives you a gargantuan amount of money for premium upgrades. The prize money per match is extremely massive, which must mean that the upcoming battle will be a tough one. Whatever the case, better better make sure to spend it on everything you need before each round. Finally getting past with 5 wins under our belt, the pathway opens to an elevator that takes us downward. And after all the annoying trials and tribulations, it is here that we meet Greyman face to face, and he's just A-posing behind the window from afar. Damn it, do I have to voice an old guy?
Finally, you found me inside of my funny little base. Now it's time to finish all this, right? You know why they call me Gray? Because I'm the greatest man who's ever lived. But you could say the things I've done lately weren't so great either.
Greyman, enough with these games. We're here to stop you.
I haven't finished monologuing, dipshit. You know what would happen if I rule everything in this world? Why, I would hold Manco, of course. I would wish to create new things. Wanna know why? It's because Team Fortress only has 2 teams, and I'm sick of it. They killed off Green and Yellow Team, but it's not like those guys were canon anyways. No, I will create a new team. Gray Team. If you join this team, you can kill anyone in your sight, and it'll be called Death Match. Wait, who wrote this? Who wrote my motivations for this crap?
Wow, that sounds awesome, but we still won't let you do anything.
Why not? I can do anything more if I hold the Manco. Aren't you interesting? Please, I can make whatever you want. Say, money perhaps? Honor? Yeah, you wish you could have gotten that medal from the last event. Or maybe you're interested in love. I'll do you one better though. I'll add the 10th class to the game too. That one guard dog from 2009 or some shit. The civilian from Team Fortress 2 Classic. Or maybe perhaps that Madcap character the TF2 subreddit had the schizophrenia for.
With the bargaining chips left on the table, both parties have come to an impasse. The possibility of a new major TF2 update, replacing casual matchmaking with quick play, new Zeliums returning from Digital Directive, Greyman would truly be able to make anything Red Team could ever want. But then, Soldier is reminded what he was fighting for, and remembers 2 very important things that happened along this journey, breaking the ice. Well, you can make everything, but you can't make the only 2 robots you killed.
Bitch, you think I give a fuck about those 2 robots? I could just recreate those guys again and make them fall under my obedience. Last chance, Red Team. You guys realize that this world has already been attacked by my machines, right? You saw all of that, but you still stand against me? I never seen anyone like you morons in my 150 years of life. I looked that up, by the way. You all should give up.
Putties, 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 putties.
Fine, we'll find out later. Then break me. Time to die.
Red Team versus Grey Team, 2 colors that were never meant to be. Which one will get to decide the fate of the world? Just like with the Reaper Engineer, you have to shoot out the window to damage the boss. This boss fight is basically the same thing but on steroids. This time though, you have to chew through 8 health bars to kill Greyman, essentially 8 phases. And each phase will get progressively harder and harder where the fight tosses everything you've experienced back at you. This boss fight gets so ridiculous that it transcends the label of being extremely difficult. In fact, the 2 words that describes this whole encounter is hot dog shit. There's clones of the original Reapers, which by the way has completely broken the lore of machine attacks, and yes, the robots around you will insta-kill you even with the max health upgrades and resistances you bought. But on top of that is a very specific Titan robot made just for this fight, an Uber Piercer Soldier that removes your Uber charge on hit, as well as having a huge blast radius, and it one-shots you. It's completely pointless to destroy these Titans because they'll respawn in an instant. This Titan is the main reason why this boss fight is terrible to play. You don't get to engage with the mechanics of this fight or interact with the robots because you only have less than 8 seconds to play on the stage before you die, and they don't change how you approach this fight at all. The same thing you did in the Reaper boss fights is what you're doing here, rushing in with an Ubercharge canteen and bursting down the boss before dying, respawning, and repeating the same loop. I don't get why at the very end that they suddenly want to start countering the only effective playstyle in the most uninteractive way. Coupled with the insta-kill bots, and you got yourself the worst boss fight ever designed in machine attacks.
Dying.
Poison gas.
Nope, that's the final phase, by the way. I can see skin out there. There we go.
Oh.
Thank God. Wow.
Finally, Greyman's window has been destroyed, but the man himself hasn't been killed? Really? All that effort for the past 16 episodes, witnessing the slaughter of Blue Team, escaping death thanks to Marasmus, killing all of the Reaper bots including Metalgen who was basically second in command, the heroic deaths of our robotic comrades, and yet the antagonist gets to stay alive? Well, if Greyman isn't dead, then that means he and his robots are still taking over the world as we speak. Scout says we should go out to clear Greyman's shits. Sniper says, then what are we waiting for? Let's go! Before machine attacks.
Machine attacks.
They fed it. Machine attacks.
Well, there you have it, a 9-hour MvM campaign that was Frankenstein to be a co-op adventure game. For a project that was done by one single person, this was surprisingly impressive. The set pieces that you see throughout are really what makes this campaign stand out, and for what the creator had to work with during the times where custom MvM was primitive, I have to give props where it's due. But that said, there were many moments where the level design is convoluted, almost uncharacteristically. Gameplay sections that take extremely long to get through, confusing and repetitive puzzles, and too much padding between story beats. Difficulty is definitely the worst part of the experience, where it gets extremely bad the farther you get in. Now, to be fair, there's not really much you can do to give depth to the robots other than tweaking health and damage numbers, but damn, what it's got going on seriously isn't it. There are many frustrating moments throughout where the creator throws in robots that one-shot you, and practically every boss fight forces you to run Uber canteens, and I know exactly why. Premium upgrades. On one hand, it does allow for players to enact their power fantasy where you can just shred the robots with ridiculously overpowered weapons, but at the same time, the creator had to balance the gameplay for it, and the end result is a gameplay loop that is not only bland, but also tiring to play, since the gameplay loop is ruined by this obsession with making the robots one-shot you. If you're constantly dying, then you don't get to enjoy what Machine Attacks has going for it, the adventure. The most surprising thing about Machine Attacks is that it can be soloed all the way to the end, at least in the new version. For how egregious it was to sit through all those bosses, it wasn't a point where I had to no-clip myself out, or to give myself extra currency or god mode just so I can beat those encounters. That said, the only class with soloing as is Soldier, since his damage multipliers are huge while also being very cost efficient. Spy was kinda useful sometimes. I went heavy in Demoman like once, and the rest weren't all that worth it. And that's for soloing. I'm not exactly sure what the premium upgrades meta looks like with a full man party. The story is alright, all things considered. There's not much to it other than killing a guy because he wants to take over the world. And despite how goofy they were, Metal Gen is a decent secondary villain. But the storytelling is awful. The dialogue is badly translated and takes very long to sit through each line. The first quarter of the episode happened because Spy was leading his team to a secret. I didn't talk about it back then, but I don't understand what it was. Was it the Reapers, or was it the fact that there was a robot base underground? The story recycles the same plot point where you sneak around and then escape several episodes straight, only until at the midpoint did the story finally have some cohesion where Red Team should stop Greyman's plan. Many of the side characters throughout the story die, but it either does it for drama or lacks emotional connection. Which brings me to my next point. The Rebel robots are without a shadow of a doubt the worst part of the story. I refuse to believe anyone would be defending these robots. They are way too contrived and make zero sense. Now, crazy idea, but it should have been Blue Team instead. Yes, the same Blue Team that died in the first half of the campaign. Think about it. If Marasmus was able to resurrect Red Team, then why can't Marasmus do the same for Blue Team? You replace the Rebel boss with Blue Team, then this part of the story would make way more sense and have stronger emotional beats. Or just remove this part and have the mercenaries bumper car their way to Greyman straight through. That would have worked too. Literally anything would be way better than having this extremely weird moral gray area of, oh, not all machines attack. The funniest thing about this story is that it was setting up for a sequel. Robot Soldier gets to live after episode 15, and Greyman is still alive after that explosion. A few posts here and there talking about a new project in the works, but several years later, and there's nothing. A little disappointed, but I respect the decision to move on. In my opinion though, this is not a good ending. The story should have stayed self-contained and Greyman should have died. And I've already said enough about the Rebel bots. Machine Attacks is a 3 out of 10.
It's the biggest piece of dog shit.
But it's a beautiful piece of dog shit. I'm gonna be honest, this campaign sits in weird limbo where it's so bad that it's good. It's also funny that nobody for the past 9 to 12 years has decided to sit down and expand on this concept. I guess reverse MvM kinda does that, but it's not even close. Honestly, the real problem with this campaign is how to get the full experience. Most community servers that run Machine Attacks are basically ghost towns, and you'll need to organize a full party that can endure the 8 to 12 hours of playtime. And no, I don't think you can ask Potato to host servers for it. But even then, I wouldn't necessarily recommend this campaign to everybody. But if you are willing to play this, then you're in for an experience you only get once in a lifetime. What do you guys think about Machine Attacks? Is it worth playing? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. Thanks for watching, I'll see you later.